Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now June 4th of 2025, and the Meghan Markle backlash and drama continues, and it's only getting worse over time as we get closer to the debut of With Love Meghan Season 1 Part 2. Let's call it what it is. It is not a Season 2, that is something that was made up by Meghan Markle herself, and what Netflix agreed to do to make it seem like they actually renewed the season, and that it was picked up to make it sound more successful. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, one thing about Meghan Markle is that we know that she's been getting caught in a lot of different scenarios by Netflix where she gets in a lot of trouble. She's been caught copying others, engaging in plagiarism, and that's just the beginning of everything here. We know that she also is very overly demanding. She's a control freak on set, and that's just for starters. But focusing on everything else here, the Meghan Markle firings now are actually spreading like crazy over at Netflix because there's a lot of things going on as we speak between Meghan Markle, CEO Greg Peters, CEO Ted Sarrandos. Yes, there are two CEOs, by the way, over at Netflix. Just a little thing out there that you guys may or may not have known about. But interestingly enough, this is where things begin to really pick up, is that we know that With Love Meghan, quote-unquote, Season 2 is still a go. It is actually set to drop by this fall. They're eyeing the first week of September, maybe a little bit earlier than that, like maybe around late August, just before the fall. However, with, of course, Meghan Markle endlessly getting caught in drama over at Netflix and various other studios as she attempts to salvage her career, one major development going on now involves more to do with the Meghan Markle firings that recently took place over at Netflix, where Markle recently got in serious trouble after getting caught copying other people's work, like Pamela Anderson, Guy Fieri, and even Gordon Ramsay, etc. As a result, Netflix decided to completely fire the entire marketing team that was handpicked by Meghan Markle, the very same team that Markle picked after she fired the previous marketing team, after With Love Meghan's trailer was ratioed across all forms of social media and created negative buzz in the mainstream media as well, and through word of mouth. This was surprisingly an action made by both Greg Peters and Ted Sarrandos, the other Netflix CEO. It turns out that Greg Peters really twisted Ted's arm to make this decision to fire the entire Meghan Markle marketing team that's been connected to With Love Meghan Season 1 Part 2 in order to desperately attempt to improve their marketing campaign for the next so-called season, as they like to call it, Season 2. Now, Markle, to no surprise, was fuming over this recent action by Netflix, and they are now in the process of handpicking their very own marketing team that will not be chosen by Meghan Markle at all, unlike last time. This comes shortly after Meghan not only lost her creative power / control over the second part of With Love Meghan, but also how she is losing her marketing privileges without the ability to choose her own team. The entire Meghan Markle team is now officially out the window at Netflix, and the fact that Ted Sarrandos caved to Greg Peters' demands and proposals is leaving many wondering whether or not Ted is beginning to turn against Meghan Markle, as he has been a big supporter of her from day one. Now guys, let me just say one thing about this. Now, in case you guys are a little lost, this happened, like, I would say right around late March of this year, where Meghan Markle had a lot of power when it came to the marketing aspects of her series, and she actually fired the entire marketing team that was actually previously chosen by Netflix. She felt they did a very bad job actually creating the trailer, handling the marketing campaign, promoting the series, and so she fired them. She got rid of them. And she handpicked her very own entire team consisting of around 100 people and change, right around there, and they were basically just DEI hires. That's basically what it all boiled down to. And so they really didn't know how to do their job. They weren't really qualified. And that's exactly why Netflix said, you know what, let's take action before things get even worse than last time. And so they did. Now, to make, of course, matters worse for this entire scenario, as always now, Meghan is blaming Netflix, get this, for engaging in discrimination, since her entire team were handpicked individuals that came from different ethnic backgrounds, and, of course, many of which came from LGBTQ communities, and were mostly women as well. all. The marketing team reportedly was around 100 employees over at Netflix who handle the TV spots, promotional art, trailers, internet marketing, etc., etc., all of which are now being replaced at a fast rate by Netflix executives and producers. Markle is already challenging these changes and is demanding this to be reversed effective immediately. Both Greg and Ted refused. Ted reportedly was put in a very difficult position to make this call, since all the executives and producers were standing, of course, alongside Greg Peters on this decision. Now guys, let me stop right there again before I move on. The fact that Ted was put in such a very complex situation where he had to cave to Greg Peters' overall demands, to his overall proposals that he was throwing out there about getting rid of Meghan Markle's team, getting, of course, that marketing team out the window and just firing them outright, and how the Meghan Markle firings actually are something that really kind of created a very big impact on Meghan Markle's mentality when it comes to creating the series. And I think at the end of the day, look, I don't think this is going to improve anything. In fact, I don't think it's going to turn the show into any bit of a bigger success. But I think they're just in survival mode at this point. They will do anything that they can to not make the next part, the next season, quote unquote, a whole lot worse than the previous one. That's all they want at this point. They don't want a very sharp decline. If anything, they would like it to be, at minimum, just as bad as the previous one. And that really doesn't really say much, right? That just goes to show you that Netflix has literally zero confidence in this thing. And we all know that Greg and the executives and producers, they want to get past this. Ted Sarrandos, we all talked about this. Meghan Markle has been pressing on him, begging him for a season 3, begging him for a contract renewal, really begging him to convince the board of directors to change their mind otherwise. And that is also a thing that's actually happening. But it really makes you wonder, is there something going on between Meghan and Ted? That's a very big mystery. Who the heck knows? Now, this is said to be a major negative impact on Meghan Markle herself, and on how, of course, successful the series will be, since Greg and Ted have already agreed to cut back on marketing funds by 40% that are now finalized. With the marketing team now fired, they are only looking for qualified employees. So again, I mean, this just goes to show you that Netflix, I don't think that they're really credible in this scenario. I think they're just doing whatever they have to do to basically just show the people that what they're doing is that they're trying to at least pick up the broken pieces. They're trying at this point to save face, to save their image, I guess you could say. And it's not going to work. People are just not going to be convinced. If they really wanted to save their image, they would cancel season 2 outright and they would throw it in the garbage can. That's what they would do. But they're not doing that, and they could do that if they really wanted to. In fact, you're going to lose more money from subscribers leaving your platform by putting such nonsense on Netflix that you would have actually had a better outcome if you just canceled this thing. But anyway, we know that this is a very complex situation between both Greg Peters and Ted Sarrandos, the two CEOs of Netflix, and there's a lot of back and forth going on over there. I know a lot of you have been questioning whether or not there is something going on between Meghan Markle and Ted Sarrandos. The real answer to that is, well, I don't think anybody's ever going to truly find out about that, but she does seem to have some form of influence over the guy. But overall, I would like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.